it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we're going to zoom in and focus in today on a great viewer question, and that is to understand the role of codependency, of being an egoist, essentially, like Dr. Craig Malkin discusses. He is a psychologist with Harvard Medical School, and he develops basically an aberration or adjustment that a person has to make if they're in a relationship with an extremely controlling, malignant narcissist or a psychopath individual in order to keep homeostasis or balance in the relationship. But before we get started on that topic, I want to give a huge shout out to those of you who have recently donated to the channel. Whoop whoop, we do have Wisconsin in the house. Love Wisconsin. Some of the most beautiful land in America, in the United States. Beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous area. It's a honor, privilege, and a treat to have you. And also we have Michigan in the house. Whoop whoop, I love Michigan. Love Michigan. Beautiful waterways, coasts, forests, natural orchards. Such a beautiful place of the United States and the country. It's an honor and a privilege to have you in the house. And also, whoop whoop, we have Canada in the house. So good to hear from you. It is our next door neighbor, replete with just tons of wilderness, roaming coastline there as well. In their inner, I think they have a lot of rivers and just very natural fishing and hiking, as well as beautiful cultured cities. So it's an honor and a privilege and a treat to have you all in the house. So thank you so much for your recent donations to the channel. And yes, if those of you who would like to participate and give back to the channel, if we've been a positive resource or influence, absolutely positively, you can visit us at the homepage, the About page. Here on the Peace and Harmony channel, there is a PayPal Donate Now button. So thank you so much. Great to hear from you. And we're going to zoom in and focus in today on a great viewer question, and that is to understand the role of codependency. The role of being a supply, someone who has been targeted by a malignant individual as a scapegoat, as a source of satisfying of their needs that they are, because of their entitlement, they really sort of project onto others. So keeping them, their needs satiated, at bay, pacifying their needs, always attending to them. You're not able to focus on yourself. You have to constantly focus on them. It's really, in the beginning, it's like in The Road Less Traveled, M. Scott Peck describes, what it's like to have a toothache. If you have a toothache, basically that is all you are thinking about. Through your waking hours, it might even wake you up at night, the fact that you have a toothache. And a relationship with a malignant, controlling individual very much is like this. It's like having a perpetual toothache that you always have to think about, attend to, sort of adjust your life in accordance to the pain. And then when the pain is great enough, basically you need to yank that out. It could be infected, it could be crumbling, something is wrong, but it's kind of like, another people might describe it as a thorn in the side that you begin to adjust to. And in the beginning, though, you tend to this relationship out of love because you hold them on an idealized sort of platform and an idealized sort of putting them on a pedestal, or they have a role of significance in your life. They could be a caregiver, a spouse. This can be someone who you look up to at your school or your workplace. So unbeknownst to you, you think, this person has someone, these endearing qualities which you hold to a higher degree of importance than yourself. So this becomes this unspoken subconscious dynamic of inferiority built into the relationship. And so it is to feel that they are above you. And then there's a need of codependency where basically you are then becoming a projection, or really in essence, the way I feel, it's like an imposter personality in order to adapt and adjust to their needs. So you have to sacrifice your voice, your opinions, your needs. You're constantly putting yourself on the back burner, then the way, way back burner, and then furthermore, no burner in order to pacify their needs. So it always becomes about taking care of them, living their values, living their standards, jumping and reacting, flinching and flailing to their shouts, their control, their manipulation, to the point where people feel a sense of hollowness or emptiness. And so to really understand this is to understand that codependency means that your personality becomes organized around and centered around satisfying others' needs. So you then begin to feel that your role, your job is just to lay down, bow down, throw your jacket down, throw your own needs down for this individual. So you know, in the beginning of the relationship, you may become aware of the fact that you need to do something. You need to go to the doctor. You need to get some sleep. You need to do your homework. You need to make friends. You need to be able to smile and be happy and, you know, be carefree and be relaxed. These are needs that you have. But in an emotionally manipulative relationship with a malignant individual who could be narcissistic, psychopathic, let's not worry about the title right now. They can be extremely controlling, but there is a sense of superiority and entitlement where they then basically push their weight around and make an assumption in the dynamic and discourse communication that their needs are more important. Their views, values are superior to yours. You can't formulate, you know, a communication. In other words, and it becomes a very silencing or deadening or numbing dynamic in the relationship where you feel shut out, shut down, like you don't matter, you're not important, and then you're not lovable. And then we see the catapulting and resultant, what we call lack of self-esteem or lack of valuing of oneself as a person, human being. So you can see how this becomes a falsehood. It becomes an imposter because you have inherent worth and inherent value based on your existence. You are a person, you have worth, you have truth, you have consciousness and the divinity. You have this set up in your very being. You don't have to prove and justify. I mean, unless you've, had grave hurt and, really, do you see what I'm saying? So it's been a misperception and flawed thinking on your own, which you had to, though, adjust and adapt to keep this relationship pacified, to, keep a war from erupting in the household, to keep this person from yelling, screaming, saying, whatever other atrocities, slamming doors, cheating on you, not answering your communication, not emailing you, going out and then you're always worried and they're just really absent. So this absence can create an over-obligation or overextension of your need to give. So we see then the proliferation and setting up of over-obligating yourself, overextending yourself, physically, emotionally for this person, even financially, time-wise, over-obligating and overextending yourself, violating yourself, your natural inherent boundaries for need for rest, respect, eye contact, being attended to, being listened to. So if you are not listened to, if you do not receive eye contact, if you don't receive the nurturing, the love, the warmth, that sort of natural human state, which is, you shouldn't have to beg, plead, cajole for, you shouldn't have to prove yourself why you're worthy of this, but there is a dynamic that is then set up where you have to explain, justify, and then defend yourself as to why you should have this balance. And oftentimes this state is entered into as an immature individual. In other words, a youngster, a young adult. The brain is not fully developed. So you have not, arrived yet. Your personality has not had a chance to crystallize or develop along the lines and fulfill the developmental stages, like Abraham Maslow, eventually to get to self-actualization. I would highly recommend you understand the Maslow hierarchy of needs and understand how you have to have the basics to get to the higher, the higher stratum. The need for food, shelter, sex, love, self-actualization. There's a triangle, which is a dynamic shape, but you need to have safety, which is built into shelter. So if you do not feel safe, if you do not feel sheltered, if you feel that you're always under a character assassination and by this controlling individual where they have been able to manipulate you into being taken advantage of and having to attend to them, always listen for them. Is it going to be a good day? Is it going to be a bad day? Are they going to yell at me? What do I need to do to walk on eggshells? How can I make myself smaller? You see the eating disorders. I feel that this is very much tied to this syndrome where people are living by what is known in psychology as negative validation. In other words, negativity has been reflected back to you to the point where you are defining yourself by what you are not. So if your personality is organized around by what you are not, there's always going to be a juxtaposition. There's always going to be a tension. There's always going to be a conflict. There's always going to be a me and them. There's always going to be a divisiveness, a rift, a chasm, and a feeling that you do not belong. The feeling of being ostracized, isolated, alienated is built into this feeling and the meaning that you are assigning to this experience within yourself. So it's very important for you to become aware of the meaning that you have assigned to this experience and see either how it's been disempowering, and now it's important to alchemize it and transform it and metamorphosize it to the point where you are now using the tool of metacognition and cognitive reframing to give it a new meaning. So rather than assigning the meaning, I am not good enough, I am a victim, I am horrific, I am ugly, I am not lovable, I am not worthy, I'm not worth the time of day, I'm not worth looking at, I'm not worth being listened to, I'm not worth giving a hug, I'm not worth getting a pat on the back, I'm not worth, receiving a birthday card, I'm not, worthy of receiving a birthday gift, I don't ever need to go anywhere or do anything, I'm just going to live in a tight wound up ball. So if you have assigned this meaning to this experience, you have then basically given into the codependency. You've given into, even if it's in the past, the manipulative tendencies which have been reinforced and rememorized, not only in your feeling body, your emotional body, and then also the neurogenesis, where you have then grown neurons and synapses to reinforce this negative validation, this negated state, the I am not state. So your personality is organized around the I am not, I don't have. So it becomes organized around the negative or the contrary juxtaposition to what this person, because the narcissist, I have the floor, I have the superior position, I have the, I have the control, I have the say, my opinions are right, my judgment is what goes here. It is my way, not the highway. So it is your personality then, I feel, is organized as a juxtaposition or a contradictory, it's a separation. So you very much then feel that you don't belong because it is built into the narcissist relationship, the psychopathic relationship. You don't belong. So that's the message that they give. So if you have been in this state for, days, weeks, months, years, and you've reinforced this and you've had your personality organized around this, then it's very important for you to understand that this, in essence, was from a mini seedling from that very early on relationship. So, and so it's very important for you to extricate yourself or pull yourself out of that sort of root system that they have created or instilled or imprinted in you. Just like a root system, if you were to pull up a plant, you see the root system that is set up, and you can see, you can pull up a plant, what you see on the outside, is one thing, what you see in the soil is another. So it's very much like this. So your neurons and axons, your neurons are your brain cells. So like you have lung cells, you have eye cells, hearing cells. So, this is not the scientific term. Neurons are the name that are given for the cells in the brain. And then you've got the dendrites and axons, which shoot off of them very much in a similar design to like a plant. So you'll see like a neuron, and then you'll see it shooting off in a design that very much looks like lightning, the way it kind of spikes off, or even like the dendrites really look like the way they connect to the other neurons is very much like a tree. It's very, the way it branches out, so that you'd have like a base, what do you call it? What do you call the base of a tree? Just, the trunk. So you got the trunk, and then you have the branches. So your neurons are very much like the same way. They have trunk and branches, and the more connections that you make, i.e. the more experience, conversations, time, emotions, then reinforce these branches within your mind, which is the neurogenesis or creating of these synapses, which then wire and fire and are reinforced by the neurochemicals of serotonin, dopamine, the cortisols, the stress adrenals, which are then reinforcing. So if you have a lot of neurons which are reinforced by stress, cortisol, fight or flight, or freeze or fawn, which are as a result of the limbic brain, which means if every time you are criticized, and put down and shut out, your body, studies have shown that receive this, that in the same response, the sympathetic nervous system that is ignited or set on fire, it is stimulated or put into play when you are around. It is the same that is back in the day of, prehistoric humans, when the saber-toothed tiger, came running at you. Your fight or flight, your adrenals went, you got a super shot of cortisol, your eyes widened, you had super, energy, you were able to run faster than usual, and either to, run away and flee, that is the fight or flight. So that is what is known as the limbic system, the brainstem, the fight or flight system, which are part of all human beings. So, for example, if you're driving and all of a sudden someone comes in front of you, you get that shot of stress, and that shot of stress gets you out of the way, helps you turn the wheel quick enough, and then you made it to safety, and then you can relax. So it is that fight or flight, though, that quick, armored response, which is also ignited and set afire when you are criticized, when you are, attacked, when you are in conflict, when you're in this, I feel this divisive personality dynamic. In this, and then the codependency. So it is really almost like an imposter personality, not a real you, not in touch with the authentic, lovable, everything is okay you, the peace and harmony and strength and endurance and confidence you've had to create like a shell of a personality or a codependent personality that has been created through the neurogenesis of having to adapt and adjust to a profoundly sick relationship. And so, but you can exist, through all sorts of years and decades with this. Once again, I liken it, if you've ever gone through a walk in a forest and you've seen a tree, and then you've seen a vine that grows up amongst it, and vine can cover the tree a little bit, or the vine can cover that tree a lot, to the point where all you see is the vine, you don't see the tree. The vine has overtaken that tree as like a host. And the vine, snakes its way up. So it is very much like that. So your authentic self, your genuine self, really is like that trunk of the tree. that is strong, that is lovable, that is, you know, putting out branches and leaves that then transfer the light into the tree and make, you know, and help you to grow stronger. And then the rings of the tree grow stronger and stronger and stronger. The trunk is bigger and bigger. The roots are going down stronger and stronger to the point where you can't even pull them out of the ground. That is a mature tree. So your empowered self is very much like a new tree. If you are brand new, you know, little baby tree, and someone walks over you, you're just getting the roots down for your authentic self. Someone walks over it and then tramples it and then breaks the root system, you're going to have a hard time rebounding. So that's very much like what a true authentic self and a healed whole self is like. It is not the imposter personality. It is the strong tree. It is the strong, you know, it is the seed of the acorn. It is the seed, you know, of the oak tree, which is the real you, which is, you know, set and entangled and ensnared to react to the needs of this other. It's, and so really then the neurogenesis of healing yourself needs to be attended to in that healthy seed. So knowing this to be the case, you need to become very clear on the idea that you need to fill your own cup up first, and to get used to this, to realize it's okay for you to have your needs satisfied, for love, respect, food, shelter, safety, intimacy, and then to develop into, you know, the self-actualization, you know, to go and mature through all these developmental stages in a real manner. And a real authentic is the ability to speak your needs, your requirements, and to be self-autonomous, to have to be able to have independence, integrity in your own personality, where it's organized around the I am, I have, and the positive. So your personality needs to become aware of the I am lovable, I have talent, I am worthy, I am a valuable person. My value as an intrinsic human being manifests all the wonderful and miraculous in life. So that's inherent inalienable right. So when you can wake up and become aware of this, open your eyes to this. And also, whoop, whoop, we do have Georgia in the house. I'm thinking now about a wonderful viewer who recently made a donation. She is from the Georgia area, the beautiful South, the Southern culture, a little more slow, mellow. Love that area of America, United States. So thank you so much for your recent donations. I just recalled that, and she said that these videos have been an eye-opener. So you need to open up and become aware of and in touch and close with your own rights as a person and your own positive self-regard. It is unconditional love. So love, peace, harmony, strength, integrity. I am abundance. I have abundance. Abundance is my birthright. Happiness is my birthright. Living the good life is my birthright. And once you acknowledge this and validate this, you'll begin to draw these experiences into your life. It doesn't matter where you begin. You could, have grown up in impoverished situations, impoverished emotionally, or affluent situations where there's impoverished emotionally, or, vice versa. You can have all the affluence in the world, but if you're not treated well, you can still develop this codependency. And so you're at war with yourself. It's like, it's time to stop the war with self and remove the imprinting that has been done and conditioned and programmed in you by this situation that has been reinforced and rememorized by you, your feelings, your thoughts, which have been organized around the I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I can't be listened to, I deserve eye contact, I deserve to be listened to, I deserve to be communicated with, I deserve to have boundaries and standards and communicate from this, I deserve to dream, I deserve to live the good life and be able to dream and get out of that, life in the limbic system. It's kind of like it is time to now develop a different feeling, an energy shift where your body, you are in a peaceful, safe, relaxed body, and you need to create that feeling and reinforce it within yourself as distinct and separate from this relationship. So codependency is a feeling that I can't do this. I can't exist independently. I can't be autonomous. I can't be self-reliant. I can't be self-governing. I am not whole as an individual. I am like a Siamese twin with like, I am, connected to this person at the rib cage. And like, if you separate me, I might not have all my limbs. I might not have half a lung. My head, I might be conjoined at the head. And like, if you disconnect me from this person, I might not be able to think. So I almost think of it, and I use a lot of really bizarre analogies, but I feel it's very true to the feeling state where you're very connected almost physically to this person, where if you feel that you are separate, that you cannot function. You don't have what it takes. You don't have the lungs to breathe. You don't have the mind to think. You don't have the foot to walk. You don't have the hip to, to support yourself. You don't have the backbone. So you feel like half a person or not a person. So you've got the depersonalized, dehumanized state, the brainwashed, gaslighted state where you feel like you can't think. You can't create the loop within yourself. You're overextending yourself, where you're always you can't think for yourself. You're always trying to think what this other person is thinking. So it's like your brains are connected. You can't make your next move without knowing what the narcissist wants, what the psychopath wants. This is deep stuff, man. We are blowing it out here today. So that is what it means. So it's to understand that the neurogenesis within yourself needs to be reinforced, acted on, and empowered on the I am. I have. I am lovable. I am good enough. My opinions matter. My personal moments matter. My heart matters. My thoughts matter. My ideas matter. All these feeling states are what are the cause, the foundation of all that is really good that you produce in life. The multi-million-dollar products that I had in hand to collaborate and create that became national and global sellers, what we call intellectual property that I gave to corporate companies, which I did not receive a royalty to, but I was part of this. So if I had a royalty, I would be sitting up in the multi-million-dollar range for the value of my ideas. So there is a case where I, had been taken advantage of. If I had the boundary and the standards to say, this is my intellectual property, we're going to do it as such. I am still working on new products of my own where that is the case. And that's what you call patent development, trademarking, things of this nature. So that is the beginning of the neurogenesis of all the positive. So it is the understanding, especially in today's day and age, the information age, this is an idea culture. So it is ideas that make the world go round. And it is my believing, and this is really intense, but it's my believing that at the foundation, when your thoughts, values, ideas, and emotions are founded around the positive and organized around the positive as distinct and separate, as if that negative does not exist. So you're actually in the positive zone. You're in the zone. You are in the divine presence. If you can call it that, I think you can. Your thoughts, ideas, feelings, behaviors, decisions, and choices are organized around the positive and your self-worth and value. So then you create moments of value. You create relationships that have value. You create new relationships which are founded from this new energetic spot and space versus the negated one. So it's going to feel different. You're no longer saying, I'm saying yes to abuse. I'm no longer attracting the abusers, the people who violate me. I'm no longer attracted to that. Those relationships no longer have a place in my life. I am no longer attracted to these types of people, and that is okay because if I've alchemized, transformed, and become a new energetic being, my identity is now wrapped around and organized around the positive. And when you develop this, just like the seedling, so you need to give it time, water, nurturing, you need to give this to yourself, time, acknowledgement, validation. It's a growth of consciousness. It's a growth of neurogenesis. Going back to our little idea of the baby seedling, you know, if a animal comes along, eats it, or someone comes along and walks on it, or a tree falls on and breaks it down, you know, it doesn't have a chance. So it's very much like yourself. You're organizing around the positive is going to need to take time and protection. So in order for it to become a big, strong tree, the roots even stronger, the security, the self-confidence to be really there no matter what the elements, no matter what the wind, rain, lightning, you know, the trunk is strong. It only is able to get to that stage after time and experience, correct? You don't see a 250-year-old tree with, you know, 250 rings that was just sprung up overnight. It was not, you know, do you see what I'm saying? So the feeling does take, it needs to be, you need to reinforce it. You need to come to this awareness, growth of consciousness, hence the tools that we describe here, the recovery journal, the getting out of all the negativity, getting yourself out of that toxic soil, the recovery date where you take that positive, organized self out on a date, not the one that has been imprinted and designed around the negative, the I am not, I don't have, I am sad, I am miserable, I'm isolated, I'm alienated, getting out of that I am and into a new energetic state and reinforcing it with the affirmations. I am lovable. I am worthy. I deserve eye contact. I deserve to be listened to. I deserve positive affection. I deserve positive intimacy. I deserve to be self-reliant. I deserve to be self-validating. And you have to validate this within yourself. So it becomes then the confidence that you speak within yourself that then becomes that which you can speak and be to others. So you are now recognized for the positive and you no longer feel the social anxiety. You no longer feel like, oh my God, you know, what's going to happen now? They don't know about my past. You know, I'm so embarrassed that I've been abused in my previous family, and it's so hard for me to show up to work because I am so afraid. I am so weak. It is this transformation, and we're going to need to wrap it up here, that takes place with time, repetition, and experience, the moments where you're then taking times, scheduling in these positive states through meditation and mindfulness, even meditative walks, the resensitization, the recovery gift, all the different stages of the recovery journal, the lessons learned, the I wants. There's too much to put in right now, but when you incorporate all these tools, you'll get from that seedling to the strong trunk where you're, as an analogy, you are strong and secure, organized around the positive, and then you're no longer a codependent person, you are an empowered person, living in harmony with life and your dreams, and you're forever looking forward and bringing more